That night, I wanted to scream. I wanted to put my fist through a wall. I wanted to get in my car and drive to wherever he was and make him understand exactly what he had done. The blood was boiling in my veins. But I looked around at the full picture. My sons, asleep in the next room. My career. My reputation. Everything I had built and everything I still needed to protect. And I understood something that saved me. Any explosion was going to end badly, not for her, for me. So I didn't scream. Not because it didn't hurt. It hurt like someone had wrapped a fist around my chest and was squeezing. But I had a plan, because I was going to come out of this story with shared custody done right, with my name clean and with the truth in my hand, without becoming the angry man that people use as an excuse to justify the one who betrayed them. My name is Daniel. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm a civil engineering professor at a state university. And for a long stretch of time, I was the man people whispered about at school pickups and neighborhood barbecues. The one who stayed home more hours than his wife. The one who knew his kids' shoe sizes and vaccine schedules and the name of every teacher. The one who cooked. The one who did homework. The one who had the pediatrician's number memorized. And no, it wasn't because I was weak. It wasn't because someone was supporting me. It was a family decision. My wife, Claire, was a senior executive. She traveled constantly. She earned very well. She had one of those titles that sounds important, even when you can't quite explain what it means. Audits, client dinners, last-minute flights, high-stakes closings. And while she climbed, the rest of us at home adjusted our lives to make everything work. In the beginning, that felt almost beautiful, because in my mind, I wasn't giving up anything. I was investing in the most important thing, my sons. Two young boys, two whole worlds that depend on you for everything. And if you've actually raised children, really raised them, not just been present for the good parts, you know that it isn't helping, it's work, real work. It's mental exhaustion and patience you didn't know you had. It's carrying backpacks and guilt. It's smiling when there's nothing left in the tank. It's washing a single glass at midnight and feeling like you just washed the entire day. The social pressure was there, of course. There are still people who live in the past, people who drop phrases like they're jokes, but deliver them with poison. Once, at a school parents' meeting, a man looked at me with that particular kind of smile, the one that's really a verdict, and said, "Nice that your wife gets to advance while you do whatever it is you do." I looked at him calmly and said without raising my voice, "I don't do whatever I can. I do what she can't while she works, and what I do keeps my kids stable. Stability doesn't get applause, but it saves lives." He didn't have a response to that, because here's the part nobody wants to admit. For years, it was considered strange for a man to run a household. But life changed. Many women in certain fields earn more. Many families reorganize by choice, and it shouldn't be looked at sideways anymore. For me, it wasn't. What destroyed me was the betrayal. Because one thing is the world criticizing your role. Something else entirely is the person you built that arrangement with, using it as a cover to dismantle you. Claire and I had been together for several years, married, with routines, with stress, with the typical rough patches. I'm not going to sell you the lie that everything was perfect. It wasn't. There were days we talked like office colleagues, fast, functional, no eye contact. There were nights she came home late and I was already depleted, and all I wanted was sleep and no argument. There was exhaustion, there was distance, there were silences. But none of it justifies what she did. The first warning wasn't evidence, it was a feeling, that strange energy of someone who was in two places at once. Claire started getting dressed differently for what she called regular meetings. She started guarding her phone like it was a vital organ. She started placing it face down on every surface. She started smiling at her screen with a private smile I hadn't seen since we were dating. I wanted to be mature about it. I told myself, "Don't be paranoid, Daniel. She works a lot, she's stressed. This is normal." Until a small moment hit me like a hammer.
My older son ran toward her one Friday when she walked in, holding a drawing he'd made for her. "Mom, I made this for you." She hugged him, yes, but with one arm. With the other, without any attempt to hide it, she was typing a message. And my son, with that innocence that breaks you clean in half, asked, "Who are you always texting, Mom?" She smiled quickly. "Work stuff, baby." And he said, "It's always work stuff." That word, always, went through me like a blade. Because in that moment, I understood the problem wasn't just going to be my heart, it was going to be my son's emotional world. And that made it something else entirely. Then came our anniversary. I had a dinner planned at home. Simple, the boys with my sister, a nice table, a dessert she loved, nothing extravagant, just intention. At 7:30, she texted, "Babe, I can't make it. Something urgent came up." I replied, "Okay, I'll wait. The boys are with my sister." An hour passed, then two. At 10, she called with that corporate voice, the one people use when they're pretending to be calm. "I'm going to be late. I'm sorry. This got complicated." I listened, and something inside me went cold, because I knew her real, exhausted voice, and this wasn't it. I said, "Are you okay?" And she, like she had a script ready, answered fast, "Yes, yes, just tired. I love you," and hung up. I sat there looking at the set table, the candle melting down, the silence. And the worst part is, I didn't go to bed crying. I went to bed with a strange calm, like my body already knew something my mind hadn't caught up to yet. 2 days later, the accident that changes your life arrived. Claire left her tablet at home, not common. She carried her devices like they were jewels. I saw it on the kitchen counter. I hesitated. I'm not the type to go through someone's things. I genuinely mean that. But you know when it stops being curiosity, when it becomes survival. I turned it on. I didn't have to look far. One notification, one message, and that was enough for my world to flip over. Made it to the hotel. Coming over? Bring that laugh you owe me. My stomach dropped. My hands started shaking. My face went hot. There it was. Not a doubt, not a suspicion. A door standing wide open. And then I saw more. Nothing explicit, but more than enough. 2 glasses in a photograph, a hotel room, a laugh, a man's hand at the edge of the frame, and a name, Marcus.
That was the exact moment my body wanted to become destruction. I wanted to scream, I wanted to break the house, I wanted to drive and find him. But I looked at the full picture. My sons asleep in their room, my career, my reputation, my future. And I understood something to save me. Any explosion was going to end badly, not for her, for me. Because when something like this blows up, there's always someone waiting to put the costume on you. Angry man, controlling man, jealous man. And if the other side has money, charisma, and a family that applauds them, that story travels fast. So I did what men who think long-term do. I held it. I swallowed the fire, and I turned it into strategy. I took screenshots. I saved dates. I saved timestamps. I forwarded evidence to an email account. I made copies. And I repeated something to myself like a mantra. The pain pushes you forward, but the intelligence saves you. Claire's family was one of those families that considers itself the owner of all moral authority. The kind where if the marriage went cold, they looked at the husband first. I knew them well. If Claire came home late, you don't appreciate her enough. If Claire was irritable, you stress her out. If Claire was distant, you got too comfortable at home. They already had a preferred story. Claire was the perfect victim, and I was the insufficient man. So I needed facts, not opinions. The days that followed felt like living with a ghost. Claire came and went, gave me quick kisses, said I love you like she was clocking in, played with the boys for 5 minutes to feel like a good mother, then locked herself in with a phone, laughing quietly. I watched her and felt my chest tight with grief. Sometimes deep sadness, sometimes a quiet rage that I didn't allow myself to name out loud. But I stayed in my role, the stable dad. The boys had no part in this. And here's a truth almost nobody says out loud. When someone is breaking you from the inside, parenting saves you. Because it doesn't let you sink all the way down. It forces you up. It makes you cook breakfast, walk to school, smile when you're made of dust inside. One Thursday, she told me, I'm traveling this weekend. Important client. I nodded, smiled, said, okay, I'll stay with the boys. And she, like she was doing the world a favor, answered, thanks for understanding. Thanks for understanding. Like I was an employee. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat in the living room and called a friend who was an attorney, a serious man, straightforward, professional, someone who handled divorces involving children. I told him, I need guidance, infidelity, 2 sons, custody, no scandals. He listened without interrupting and then said the sentence that changed my approach. Daniel, if you want to protect yourself, you need clean evidence and impeccable behavior. If you lose your composure, they will use it against you. Exactly. That's why I didn't scream. That's why I didn't break anything. That's why I didn't go looking for anyone. Because I decided that if someone was going to come out of this story looking amoral, it was not going to be me. When Claire left for her trip, I didn't sit around grieving. I organized. I built a folder, evidence, dates, screenshots. I spoke with the school and made sure I was listed as the primary contact. I reviewed our accounts, not to punish her, but to understand what was coming. Because another thing nobody tells you, when there's money involved, people get creative. And I was not going to let myself be erased like an inconvenient chapter. When she came back, she had that strange energy as someone who feels untouchable. She gave me a correct hug, looked at me like nothing had changed, and I, with the hardest calm of my life, said, we need to talk. She stiffened for half a second, then did what guilty people with practice do. Not now, Daniel, I'm exhausted. I held her gaze. Now. We sat down, and I didn't say I saw you. I didn't say you're cheating on me. I said something that caught her off guard. I want you to know I'm not going to compete for respect. Either you have it for me or you don't.
She blinked. What are you talking about? I took a breath. Marcus. Silence. A surgical silence. Claire tried the first defense. Confusion. What? Who? Are you serious right now? I took out one screenshot, just one, placed it on the table without drama, and everything changed. Her face hardened, not with guilt, with annoyance, like being caught bothered her more than the damage she had caused me. You went through my things. That was her concern. Not, I'm sorry, not, I hurt you, but you went through my things. I looked at her and said, I don't care about the device. I care about the betrayal. She made a gesture of exhaustion. This isn't that simple. And then came the speech. The marriage had gone cold. She felt alone. Her work was overwhelming. I didn't understand her. I was too focused on the house. I felt the rage rising up through my chest, but I didn't raise my voice. I said, steady, Claire, I took care of this house. I took care of our sons. I covered your back. What you're doing isn't confusion. It's a choice. Her jaw tightened. So, what do you want? A divorce? I swallowed, because saying it out loud hurts, even when you know it's right. Yes. She went still, and the most striking thing was that she didn't cry. She got angry. Do you understand what you're doing? How are you going to maintain this life? The life, the lifestyle. And then I understood something else. What hurt her more wasn't the marriage ending. It was the image cracking. I said, I'm not asking for your permission. I'm protecting my dignity. Her family found out within days, and exactly as I had anticipated, they came after me.
Her mother called. You must have done something, Daniel. A woman doesn't look outside if things are good at home. That sentence makes you want to put your fist through a wall. I breathed and answered, I'm not going to debate morality with someone who justifies infidelity. If you want to blame someone, blame the person who lied. And I hung up. Her brother texted, Where were you when she needed support? I responded once, with my sons, always. Because that was the point. While Claire was building a parallel life, I was holding the real one together. We entered the legal process with my attorney friend. Claire was notified. No dramatic scenes. This was real life. And here came a development I didn't engineer, but that happened the way these things always do, because the truth has a smell. In her professional circle, the story started circulating. Not because I leaked anything, I didn't do that, but these things leak on their own. A forwarded message, a photo out of place, someone who talks too much. She wasn't fired, it doesn't work that simply, but something changed. What changes when you lose moral authority? In meetings, people looked at her differently. At events, the celebration was quieter, and that hurt her more than the divorce. In mediation, Claire tried to wear the crown. She made exaggerated demands. She tried to suggest I was unstable, that I had been controlling. But I had spent months doing the most difficult thing, being impeccable while my soul was burning. And above all, I had something that carries enormous weight in a custody evaluation, the daily routine of the boys with me. I wasn't the weekend dad. I was the dad who knew the teacher's name, the pediatrician, the medication, the allergy, the sleep schedule. When someone looks at that closely, it shows. Custody came out shared, and I want to say this clearly because I'm not going to fall into bitterness. Claire is not a bad mother. She isn't. She loves her sons. She can be warm with them, present with them, playful with them, do good things with them. The problem with Claire was never her motherhood. It was her character as a partner, the lie, the betrayal, the audacity. I didn't paint her as a monster. I painted her as what she was to me, a bad partner, a dishonest wife, someone who made choices that destroyed our marriage. And those are two very different things. The boys didn't understand infidelity. They understood changes. Why mom doesn't sleep here anymore. Why dad seems more serious. Why there are two houses now. And there you are, chest tight, measuring every word to avoid destroying their childhood. Claire tried to buy peace with gifts, a new toy to cover a conversation she didn't want to have. I didn't fight that because I knew time was going to collect the truth on its own. Kids grow up, and one day they're going to ask, and that day she's going to have to explain. She's going to have to look them in the face and hold that weight. Not because I turn them against her, but because the truth, when it arrives on its own. One night, months later, my older son said to me, "Dad, do you and Mom not love each other anymore?" I felt like I was swallowing a stone, and I told him the only thing you can say without causing damage: we love you more than anything. Sometimes adults make mistakes and have to learn to live better, but you are safe, always. That held me together. Then came my rebuilding. I returned to my university teaching with an energy I had buried under survival mode. And something strange happened. When you're broken, you either go dark or you become fire. I became fire. That's when the project that gave me my pride back, house flipping with my brother. Not a pretty dream, real work. We started with a wreck of a house, the kind that makes people wince. Sad roof, outdated kitchen, destroyed bathroom, abandoned yard. People told us, "That's a money pit, you're out of your minds." But I saw something else. I saw structure. I saw potential. I saw a plan. We bought it cheap. We built it back up with real work. We sold it. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Capability, control, life. The business didn't stop there.
We started with one house, then two. Now we have three running simultaneously. 3 job sites, 3 crews, trucks moving in and out every morning, materials, blueprints, timelines, progress. And for me, that isn't just money. It's a symbol. It's proof that when someone takes your piece, you can convert that blow into a motor. And yes, I think about my sons constantly, because I don't just want to come out of this okay. I want to build them a stable, calm life with a father who is present and proud of himself, and with a clear example. Dignity is not something you negotiate away. With time, I stepped back into dating, without rush, without desperation, with hope, but with standards. Because I learned something. It isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who shares your values, who doesn't use love as a ladder, who doesn't choose you halfway. Sometimes I'm afraid to trust again. Of course I am. But I also tell myself I don't have the right to give up, not for her sake, for mine, for the version of me that held it together and didn't explode. Because if I had exploded that night,
If I had gone looking for him, if I had screamed, if I had made myself the story, I might not have this today. A home that runs well, a career that is alive again, a business that is growing, and a conscience that is clean. Claire moved on with her life. Her reputation wasn't destroyed, but it was marked, not by gossip, by consistency. People don't forget easily when someone preaches image and practices betrayal. And I don't wish her harm. I genuinely don't. I only wish her one thing, that when our sons are grown and they ask for the truth, she has the character to hold it without excuses. Because life eventually puts you in front of the mirror. And when it does, there are no titles, no business trips, no salary that saves you. Only who you were when nobody was watching. So tell me, if you were in my position, what would you have done? Would you have stayed quiet like I did, playing the long game? Or would you have exploded and let the consequences come? I want to hear from you in the comments. And if this story hits something real, if you've ever been told thank you for understanding when what you deserved was something so much more, stay here, subscribe, share this with someone who needs to see that walking away with your dignity intact is not weakness, it is the hardest kind of strength there is. Because here, one story always leads to another.